log entry, day 53 of the deep exploration mission. The cabin is hushed tonight. I have dimmed the lamps to their softest amber glow so that the room seems more like memory than metal. The desk before me holds only the essentials: my journal, a fountain pen that glides gently across the page, and a cup of tea that rests within reach, sending slow spirals of steam into the air. I cradled the cup for a while before writing, letting its warmth sink into my palms. Out here, warmth is always borrowed. The ship carries me through a silence colder than anything Earth could imagine. And yet, within these walls, the hum of the engines, the pulse of the life support systems, the little rituals of light and tea, they make a sanctuary of the void. The air feels steady. A faint vibration comes through the soles of my boots, a reminder that forward motion continues even when everything around appears still. If I close my eyes, I could almost imagine myself in a quiet room at home, listening to the slow rhythm of rain against a roof. But when I open my eyes, the stars remind me where I am. Through the viewport, the indigo reaches forever. The glass curves outward, showing me a portion of infinity. Countless pinpricks of light, each steady, each unblinking, as though carved into the dark. They hang there without sound, without urgency. I find myself staring longer than I intend. Pen paused above the page. It is a habit now. Before every entry, I lose a few minutes to the stars, letting them fill me with their stillness. They seem patient, as though they understand that words will come only after silence. The ship drifts without hurry, crossing a sector where no charts have ever been drawn. Every note I make, every page I fill, becomes a thread in the atlas of quiet worlds. The atlas is not meant for urgency either. It is a book of memory, of beauty noted in patient detail, so that others may one day follow these paths and know that someone was here before them, watching with gentle eyes. I sip my tea and return to the page. Its taste is faint, a blend of leaves carried far from Earth, but in the quiet of the cabin, it feels like ceremony. The steam curls upward and dissolves into the air, as though the stars themselves were drinking it away. The cabin light reflects softly against the viewport, overlaying the stars with a faint ghost of my own face. Sometimes I find this comforting. It reminds me that though I am surrounded by emptiness, there is still a presence here, a traveler with pen and memory, moving steadily across the map of the unknown. Tonight feels different, though. I cannot yet say why. There was a hush beyond the ordinary silence, as if the stars themselves are holding a secret. My eyes move again across the field, searching, lingering. Something distant seems brighter than it should be, but I set aside that thought for now. For the moment, I simply breathe and write, and let the hum of the ship surround me. The amber lamp pools across the page, the ink shining faintly where it is fresh. Words form slowly, drifting like the ship itself. The act of writing calms me, ties me to the present moment. Each letter is a tether, binding me not only to the mission, but to myself. Sometimes I think of Earth when I write, the texture of paper beneath my hand, the smell of books in quiet libraries, the way lamplight at home once fell across my desk. Out here, the echoes of those memories soften the silence. I do not feel lonely, only suspended, like a leaf drifting on an endless stream. The ship hums on, the tea cools slowly, the stars wait beyond the glass, and I write, as I have each night, trusting that the atlas will remember even what I cannot. My gaze lingers on a particular corner of the sky. Among the still stars, one point shines with an insistence I do not remember seeing before. At first, I imagine it to be a trick of reflection, the ghost of my lamp against the viewport. But when I shift the angle, the glow remains. It is no reflection, it is something beyond. The star does not merely gleam, it blooms. Its light spreads outward with a softness that belies its power. I watch as the glow pulses faintly, like breath, then settles into a steady shine. A nova, distant yet undeniable. I reach for the instruments and confirm what the eye already knows. The star has brightened suddenly, a flare of fusion in its aging heart. But here, at this distance, the violence is translated into poetry. The event that shook its core arrives to me only as a gentle radiance, a lamp newly lit in the night. The cabin itself seems touched by the nova. Its faint glow reaches across light years, threads its way into the viewport, and spills across the desk. The pages of my journal gleam faintly. Even my hands look washed in a pale light not their own. It is a strange comfort to sit so far from the event and yet feel embraced by its presence. The nova does not roar here. It does not burn or tear. It glows, and I glow with it. I find myself reflecting on the paradox. Somewhere unimaginably distant, a star has changed forever. Its eruption may last for weeks or months, but in cosmic terms it is brief, a flare before silence. And yet, across the cold gulf of time and space, it feels eternal. Its light has traveled long enough that civilizations may have risen and fallen since it began its journey. And tonight it arrives here, brushing against my ship as gently as candlelight. The nova pulses again. I watch the waves of brightness ripple outward, faint to the instruments, but vivid to the eye. Each wave seems to soften the edges of the surrounding stars, as though their outlines melt in admiration. The sky becomes a canvas of gradients, indigo deepening into violet, silver bleeding into pale gold. I make notes, though slowly. The words feel less important than the silence between them. The atlas will record the measurements, luminosity, spectral lines, coordinates, but my diary records something else. The way the light feels as it drifts across my hands, the way the silence of the cabin seems to lean into it, the way time itself slows.
Outside, the ship drifts steadily. The nova's glow reaches across the void, painting even the hull with a sheen that glimmers faintly when I check the exterior cameras. For a moment, the ship itself seems alive, dressed in the reflection of distant fire. I lean closer to the viewport. My breath fogs the glass before fading. Beyond, the nova holds steady, as though it knows I am watching. It feels like a conversation, though no words are exchanged. A flare of light across unimaginable space, and a single traveler receiving it with quiet awe. There is no danger here. The distance protects me. What would be destruction near the star arrives as serenity here. I think of it as a gift, the universe offering a lamp in the dark, a reminder that even endings can be beautiful. I sip my tea again. It has cooled, but its warmth lingers in memory. The nova's light makes the steam visible, glimmering as it rises. I imagine for a moment that even the tea is illuminated by the star's farewell, infused with distant fire. Time becomes difficult to measure. Minutes, perhaps hours, pass as I sit in the glow. The hum of the ship continues, unchanged, yet the world within the cabin feels altered. My notes stretch across the page, but more often my pen rests still, ink drying at its tip while I simply watch. I think of Earth. Perhaps, far away, others may one day see this nova with their own eyes, lifting their faces to the night sky and noticing a star brighter than before. They may point it out to one another, not knowing its name, not knowing the journey it took, but feeling its beauty all the same. We will be connected then, across impossible distances. My ship here, their eyes there, both receiving the same light.
I close my journal for a while. Let my hands rest in my lap and allow the glow to fill the room. The nova continues, steady and patient, breathing its last brilliance into the dark. I adjust the ship's trajectory, not to approach the nova itself. It lies far beyond the reach of even this vessel, but to drift into a region where its light spreads most clearly across the sky. The instruments hum softly, their readings flowing across the displays, but I pay them little attention. Tonight, it is not the numbers that matter. It is the presence of light, the way it folds into silence. As I glide forward, the star field deepens. Around the nova, the dust of the galaxy gathers like a veil. Faint clouds stretch in thin wisps, illuminated by the flare. They catch its glow and scatter it into subtle colors. Bluish where the dust is thin, violet where it thickens, pale silver where the particles glimmer most directly. The void is painted now, no longer pure indigo, but alive with shifting gradients. The cabin fills with these hues. My desk seems touched by a faint violet glow, my hands outlined in silver, as though the nova had reached across the void to trace them. I sit still, letting it wash over me. The atlas requires descriptions, so I write carefully. Region touched by nova light, dust clouds forming veils of violet and silver, cabin illuminated by distant fire. But words feel small. The experience belongs not only to language, but to silence, to breath, to the slow turning of thought. The ship's external sensors capture the faint resonance of particles stirred by the light. It is not sound, but if I let my mind drift, I almost hear it. A low, endless chord, vibrating softly. The music of light translated into sensation. I imagine this resonance continuing long after I drift away, echoing through the dust, a secret song only the stars themselves can hear. I bring the viewport wider,
Beyond the nova, the star field stretches dense, a tapestry of points too many to count. Each one burns with its own story, some long dead, their light only now arriving, others still young, their futures unwritten. And here the nova glows brightest of all, not because it is near, but because its moment has come. I chart the coordinates, marking them with precision, adding notations for the atlas. The log grows longer, luminosity shifts, estimated distance, comparative readings against nearby stars. Yet even as I write, my eyes return always to the glow itself. It is not merely data, it is presence, a living moment shared across gulfs of emptiness. The light has traveled for thousands of years to reach me. The thought steadies me. Somewhere, long before I was born, long before Earth carried the lives I remember, this nova began. Tonight, I receive it as though it were meant for me. That is the wonder of distance. What begins as an end becomes for another a beginning. I drift into imagination. I picture the light as a traveler itself, carrying with it the memory of the star's life, scattering that memory across time. It falls upon dust clouds, upon forgotten moons, upon the hull of my ship, upon the ink of this page. Everywhere it touches becomes a witness. I am only one among many, yet my pen ensures that this light will not go unnoticed. I glance once more at the instruments. Their readings confirm stability, the event far enough that no harm can reach me. Only the glow, softened by space, arrives. I lower the screens again, preferring the unmediated sight through glass. The eye, after all, has its own way of measuring. It measures wonder.
Stars live on scales of time I cannot fathom. They are born from clouds of dust, ignite, shine for eons, and one day they fade. Tonight, I have witnessed one of those moments of change, a star's farewell transformed into beauty. The immensity of it humbles me. I am small, my life brief, my voyage only a line in the vastness. Yet here I am, present at this moment, entrusted with its memory. I think of Earth, of how countless people might gaze at the night sky unaware of what they are seeing. Perhaps some night soon, someone will lift their eyes and notice that one star seems brighter than before. They may point it out, smile, then continue with their lives. They will not know the details, the science, the cause, but they will share in the same light that touches me here. That thought comforts me. The Atlas of Quiet Worlds grows with each entry. It is more than a record. It is a lantern itself, preserving the gentle moments that might otherwise be lost in silence. I like to imagine future travelers turning its pages. They may find my words about the nova and look for its glow themselves. They may see what I have seen and add their own notes, continuing the chain of witness across generations.
My eyes close for a moment, and I feel the warmth of memory rise. I recall childhood nights, lying on the grass, looking upward, believing the stars to be eternal, unchanging. I did not yet know of novas or endings. Tonight, I know both the science and the poetry, and still they bring peace. The hum of the ship deepens as systems shift into night cycle. Lights lower, air circulators soften. The cabin grows darker, leaving only the lamp and the glow of the nova. I set my pen down. Ink shines faintly on the page, the last words glimmering in the quiet. I lean back in the chair, hands folded loosely around the empty cup, and let my breathing slow. The nova remains in the distance, but in here, its glow lingers like memory. It feels as though it will never leave, as though even when I drift on, its light will remain with me, etched into the silence of the voyage. I whisper softly into the stillness, "Thank you." Not to anyone in particular, not even to the star, but to the moment itself, for existing, for allowing me to be here to see it. The ship continues its steady hum. Outside, the nova glows, dust veils curl, and stars shimmer patiently. Inside, I drift toward rest. End of log.